Welcome back to New Rockstars, I'm Erik Voss, and the Netflix Daredevil universe is now crossing over with the MCU, with these series finally joining the Disney Plus platform after Charlie Cox's MCU debut as Matt Murdock Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home, and Vincent D'Onofrio's role as Wilson Fisk Kingpin in Hawkeye. Actually, check out the latest Disney Plus promo.
You want some?
There's history here, something personal.
Embrace the chaos.
Save the best for last, huh?
Force of habit.
I'm just getting started.
Huh, no Iron Fist? That's it, I'm unsubscribing, said no one. These titles rejoining the Marvel family on Disney Plus is undeniably great news for the fans who watched all these hours of content, and for viewers who haven't yet seen them, you're in for a world of pain and pleasure. But the big question with these series has been, how will Marvel reconcile their previously separate continuities with the history of the MCU? Are these Defenders all exactly the characters their latest seasons left them as on Netflix? Well, finally, we got an answer from Charlie Cox, who at the Middle East Film and Comic-Con in Abu Dhabi spoke extensively about where Matt Murdock was left at the end of Daredevil Season 3.
You really wanted that Season 4. Do you think where you wanted the character to go then is the place you want the character to go now? Like, how was that time off? How did you make you understand the material differently?
I don't think it makes sense to pick up where we left off. In keeping with a lot of things in the MCU right now, where there's this alternate reality kind of thing going on. You know, there's been a few years have passed, and now, I don't know, it's Daredevil, but maybe it's not quite. It's reimagined. It's slightly different. You know what I text one of my friends when I found out this is all happening? It's Born Again. So, you know, the sky's the limit. Let's see.
So it's confirmed. The Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home and in future MCU titles like Echo or even his solo series on Disney Plus is not the same exact Matt Murdock as we saw at the end of Daredevil Season 3, but rather an alternate reality variant in the MCU separate from the Daredevil in the Netflix series. He and Vincent D'Onofrio Wilson Fisk are alternate versions of themselves who always existed in the background of the MCU reality, intertwining with the histories of the Avengers, the Battle of New York, even earlier. This is a distinctly different timeline than the history we saw them go through in the Netflix shows, despite that history sometimes making reference to the events of the MCU, like the Battle of New York. Deleted scenes from Hawkeye showed Eleanor Bishop meeting with Fisk in 2012 after Derek's death in the Battle of New York, as well as Fisk being confirmed as uncle to Maya Lopez, which would have made him a crime boss as early as 2007.
I know you've been dealing with my husband, but as I'm sure you've heard, he's gone. So now you're dealing with me.
I recognize that you like to get down to business. I respect that. I'd like to offer my condolences to you and your daughter. But your husband made a mess of things, and now you're going to clean it up.
I'm not going to do this forever.
You don't have to. You do it until it's done. The bad news is that your father had to work a little and couldn't pick you up. Good news, that means that I can take you to have some ice cream. Ice cream.
So by bringing back Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, it looks as though Marvel is applying the same rule of sometimes the same actor plays variants across universes. The rule that Sony used for J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson and Michael Keaton as Adrian Toomes, and what Marvel seems to also be doing with Patrick Stewart as Professor X, with the one in Multiverse of Madness probably not the same exact guy as the one from the Fox X-Men films. Charlie Cox uses terms like reimagined, born again, an homage to, but says the sky's the limit, all to suggest that this new take on the character won't be held down by any of the plot threads that came before, but these characters also seem to be benefiting from the best parts of their character development, their relationships, and their heroic and villainous attributes as were established on those Netflix shows. So it's still gonna be very, very important to watch or rewatch those seasons of Daredevil to know where this guy came from. And to that end, we here at New Rockstars plan to break down Daredevil Season 1, a video coming to the channel in the next couple weeks. Keep an eye out for it. Whew. Now, to be honest, sometimes I stay up up super late finishing these videos and I just want to sleep in, but all the electric lights in our lives just make it hard to get the bedroom totally dark. Well, that is where the Blue Block's Remedy Sleep Mask comes in handy. We knew Blue Blocks from their blue light blocking glasses, but their sleep mask goes farther and blocks out 100% of light for better sleep. It's super soft and it has these adjustable eye cups and an adjustable strap for the perfect fit. It works for people who sleep on their belly, on their side, on their back, or for those of us who go to our secret rooms inside of our homes and like just string up with all of our leather apparatuses. Like, it's made from the super breathable material. I'm opening my eyes. Does that freak you out, Christian Grey? I mean, it's great for improving sleep, for meditation, for napping, for travel. I love using it when I want to sleep in or like try to grab a nap during the day, try to sleep on a plane. Blue Blocks also ships worldwide and has other great products like the red light therapy devices. So go to blueblocks.com/newrockstars and use coupon code NEWROCKSTARS to save 20%. That's blueblocks.com, BLUBLOX.com/newrockstars and use the coupon code NEWROCKSTARS to save 20%. But just to quickly recap, Daredevil on Netflix consisted of 3 13-episode seasons, 1 8-episode crossover series, The Defenders, and then from that, several interconnected storylines, including 3 seasons of Jessica Jones, 2 seasons of The Punisher, 2 seasons of Luke Cage, and 2 seasons of Iron Fist. A brief summary of Daredevil's storyline: in season 1, he begins as the Man in Black vigilante who ends up coming into conflict with Wilson Fisk, as well as with Nobu, a warrior from the Hand. By the end of the first season, he becomes the Devil of Hell's Kitchen and Daredevil, and Fisk ends up behind bars. In season 2, Matt's old flame Elektra returns, and Nelson and Murdock take on the case of murderous vigilante Frank Castle. But Castle blows his own case and in prison helps Fisk eliminate enemies. Meanwhile, Nobu returns representing the Hand's rising threat in New York. And in a final fight, Elektra gives her life to save Matt, but she doesn't stay dead for long, because in Defenders, Murdock teams up with Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Danny Rand to fight the Hand in New York, and the Hand uses their resurrected assassin Elektra, aka Black Sky. Their goal is to unearth a giant dragon skeleton from beneath the city, and Defenders ends with Matt and Elektra seeming to die in each other's arms under a collapsing building, but Murdock returns in Daredevil season 3, where Fisk, now under house arrest, uses Ben Poindexter, aka Bullseye, to pose as Daredevil, and that season ends with Fisk breaking his back, and while Murdock nearly beats Fisk to death, he ultimately just gets him re-arrested using leverage against Vanessa. So what from all of this will carry over into the MCU version of Daredevil? Clearly, Matt Murdock is a well-established defense attorney in New York City who works federal cases, considering Peter Parker was being prosecuted by the Federal Department of Damage Control, and Matt Murdock already has his Daredevil agile reflexes. This means he already suffered the chemical accident as a kid that left him blind, and perhaps he also worked with a version of Stick, maybe Scott Glenn's version, who taught him how to use his other senses and enhance his reflexes. And then as a lawyer, he has also already established the firm of Nelson and Murdock, with Foggy Nelson most likely, in which case it's gonna be a bit weird to see someone else other than Eldon Henson play that character alongside Charlie Cox, so hopefully they bring him back too. It's just not yet clear if this Matt Murdock has officially become the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, or if he has crossed paths with Wilson Fisk. I'm going to assume no, or they're in their early throes of their conflict, because as soon as these two heavyweights become aware of each other, it's not long before one of them ends up incarcerated or severely incapacitated. By late 2024, when Hawkeye and No Way Home take place concurrently, as Rogers the Musical is running in New York in both titles, both men are active and mostly unbruised. But again, this is an alternate reality, so now the MCU can really pick and choose which of the Netflix plot threads to make part of the MCU Daredevil's backstory. Maybe he already knows Frank Castle and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, or maybe he hasn't met them yet. Maybe he hasn't yet battled with the Hand or even knows what the Hand is. Maybe he's tried to hit Kingpin before, but Kingpin walked away unscathed. So that's why I think it's so important to rewatch these series when they drop on Disney Plus, because anything and everything we liked about them could come back as part of the canonical backstory for Daredevil, for Kingpin, for anyone else who's now in the MCU. Actually, keep an eye out for this Sunday's episode of Big Question, where they're gonna look at all of the Netflix Marvel titles to see which titles are most likely to cross over into the MCU as we look ahead. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching, bye.